The music industry has completely changed over the last several years, and it feels like there's something new for independent artists to keep up with, like every single week. Streaming has completely changed how people discover and consume music, and social media has turned artists into full-time content creators. With AI slop flooding the internet with more music and content than ever, and even though there are more ways to reach listeners than ever before, actually earning a living from music has become even more complicated and harder to do than ever before. The problem is, if you don't understand how the modern music industry works, you can spend years making music, releasing songs, and posting content without ever building a sustainable career. So today, I'm going to break down some of the biggest things independent artists need to understand right now, including where the money actually comes from, how people discover your music, and why the quality of your product matters more than ever before, and what it actually takes to stand out in an industry that is becoming increasingly crowded. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ben Swarzwalder. I'm a producer, mix engineer, songwriter, and founder of Black Forest Sounds. In this video, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of the modern independent music business. We're going to talk about streaming, live performance, direct fan support, royalties, Spotify discovery, AI, building a fan base, and the level of commitment it takes to build a real career. Obviously, every single one of these subjects can be an entire video in itself, so I'm going to try to only hit the major points today. But if there's a specific area that you would like me to explore deeply, maybe we could spin that off in a future video, so please pop it down in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts. So the first thing that independent artists need to understand today is that there probably isn't going to be one magic source of income that suddenly makes your entire music career work. Especially early on, you're going to need multiple streams of income working together. I like to think of it as your revenue stack. Streaming can be part of that stack, live performance can be part of it, direct fan support, merchandising, publishing royalties, sync licensing, session work, production, teaching, and other music-related services all become different parts of the same business. Let's start with streaming, because that is where most artists immediately focus their attention. Streaming is obviously a massive part of the modern music business. It can introduce you music to listeners all over the world. It gives you data about your audience. It can help you get discovered through playlists, radio, autoplay, and other recommendation systems. But for most developing independent artists, streaming by itself probably is not going to provide sustainable income. And one thing I found out recently, which is pretty big, is that Spotify doesn't actually have one guaranteed fixed amount that every artist receives per stream. The money is calculated through a stream share royalty system and paid to the appropriate rights holders, such as labels, distributors, publishers, and other organizations before it eventually reaches the artist or songwriter. And also, to be paid royalties on any track you have, it has to have at least 1,000 plays within the past 12 months before it can generate any recording royalties. But if your entire business plan is, I'm just going to upload them to Spotify and wait patiently, and eventually Spotify will fund my retirement, I would strongly recommend developing a second plan. Streaming is often better viewed initially as a discovery tool and a way to build your audience. The goal is not only to generate streams, the goal is to use the streams to create relationships with your actual listeners. And that brings us to live performance. Playing live is still one of the most powerful ways to turn a passive listener into a real fan. And early on, it's probably your best way to earn a substantial income. You can earn money through ticket sales, door splits, festivals, private events, college shows, house concerts, local residencies, VIP experiences, merchandise. But touring is not automatically profitable simply because you booked a tour. You have to account for transportation, lodging, food, any other musicians that you're going to hire for your band, equipment, promotion, the unexpected van repair that occurs someplace between Cleveland and Indianapolis at the exact moment that everybody's credit cards are maxed out. Yeah, I've never had that happen before. Sometimes a carefully planned regional run makes more financial sense than driving across the country to perform for 6 people, 2 bartenders, and somebody walked in because they thought the building was still a pizza restaurant. Live performance is powerful because it creates a deeper connection than somebody just streaming your song on Spotify. Don't get me wrong, somebody hearing your song once on a Spotify playlist is valuable, but somebody seeing you perform, meeting you afterwards, buying a t-shirt, joining your email list, and telling their friends about this awesome band that they saw last night is significantly more value for you long term. Another important area is direct fan support, and this can include Patreon, paid memberships, crowdfunding, private fan communities, or exclusive content sold directly to your audience. You could offer early access to your music, monthly demos, alternate versions of songs, songwriting breakdowns, private live streams, studio footage, acoustic performances. You get the picture. You don't necessarily need hundreds of thousands of followers for this to work either, or become a reliable income stream. A relatively small number of committed fans may be more valuable for you than a huge number of passive fans which just watch one clip and never think about you again. Merchandise and physical products can also become part of that direct relationship. That could mean shirts, vinyl, CDs, posters, signed artwork, lyric books, locks of your hair, or maybe you save maybe that McDonald's cheeseburger wrapper and then you're able to offer it on your Patreon. Despite everything becoming digital now, people still value physical objects that help them feel connected to the artist that they really care about. Then there's the royalty side of the business. If you write your own music, you need to understand what you own and how that ownership generates money. You should know the difference between songwriting, composition, and the actual sound recording. You need to register the songs properly, document your splits, maintain accurate metadata, and understand the organizations involved in collecting performance and mechanical royalties. Now, quick summary: in the United States, organizations such as the MLC help collect eligible digital mechanical royalties for songwriters and publishers. Now look, you don't need to become a music attorney overnight, but you do need to know what you own and make sure that the organizations collecting money know that you own it. Otherwise, you could technically have royalties floating around in the music industry with no idea how to find you. Sync licensing is another potential source of revenue. That means licensing your music for TV, film, advertising, games, trailers, visual media. But let me tell you from experience, sync is not an easy money button. There are a lot of artists competing for those opportunities, and the music needs to fit very specific creative and technical needs. But if you control your master, understand publishing, keep your files properly organized, and make music that works well for visual media, sync might be something that you should look into. Many artists also use the skills surrounding their music to support themselves. That can include session work, teaching, songwriting, vocal coaching, performing at private events, creating content, or doing freelance creative work. Really anything so that you don't have to work at McDonald's. And yes, a lot of artists maintain other jobs while building their music career. That doesn't make you less serious. It means rent continues to exist despite your artistic potential. Having a stable income may give you the ability to record better music, hire good collaborators, invest in marketing, and avoid making desperate decisions because you need one song immediately to pay every bill. So look, every artist is looking to get discovered, but your song nowadays is almost never heard completely by itself unless somebody individually seeks you out. A listener may discover you through Spotify radio, autoplay, a personalized mix, an editorial playlist if you're lucky, and other listeners' playlists, and sometimes even a social media video that your song gets attached to. Spotify and other platforms are continually attempting to predict what an individual listener might enjoy. They use a variety of signals related to listener behavior, audience overlap, engagement, musical characteristics, and other information that the platforms don't reveal completely. That means that the artist playing right before you may not even be in the same genre as you. The connection could be mood, energy, audience behavior, instrumentation, or some other similarly identified theme by the recommendation system. I have seen this with my own music and clients' music. Sometimes the artists next to your song make no sense. Spotify also offers something called Discovery Mode to eligible artists. Discovery Mode allows artists and their teams to identify songs they would like Spotify's recommendation system to prioritize in certain personalized environments such as radio, autoplay, and Spotify mixes. There is no upfront fee, but Spotify does charge a commission on streams generated through the specific discovery mode environments. It's also important to understand that opting into discovery mode does not guarantee that Spotify will recommend your song. The platform still looks at how listeners respond. Do listeners continue listening? Do they save the song? Do they add it to a playlist? Do they return to it later? Do they visit the artist profile and listen to something else? You can create more opportunities for discovery, but you can't force somebody to care. Discovery opens the door, but the music still has to convince the listener to walk through it. And I've heard people have different experiences with discovery mode, so you'll have to make the decision on whether it's best for you as an artist yourself. Your music is both art and a product. So now, let's talk about your music. Yes, your music is art, but it's also a product. This is why I believe independent artists need to treat their music as both a meaningful art and also a serious product. I know some artists dislike the word product. It sounds corporate. It sounds like we're placing songs on a shelf between toothpaste and laundry detergent. But your music is the thing that you're asking people to give their time, attention, and potentially money to. Apple does not phone in their iPhone, no pun intended. Actually, the pun was completely intentional, and I stand by it. Successful companies understand that the quality of their product affects the reputation of the company. Your song represents you, the songwriting, the vocal performance, the production, the mix, the master, the artwork, the videos, and the overall presentation tells people how seriously they should take what you're building. Your listeners don't automatically lower their expectations because you're independent. Your songs could play immediately after a record made with a major label budget, an experienced producer, a professional musicians that are playing behind them, dedicated vocal production, a world-class mixing engineer, and a mastering engineer whose studio looks like the control room of a nuclear submarine. That doesn't mean you need to have the same budget, but it does mean that your music needs to communicate clearly and sound intentional. The performance needs to feel believable. The vocal needs to connect. The production needs to support the identity of the song. And the arrangement needs to keep the listener engaged. The mix needs to translate across different speakers and listening environments. Nothing should distract the listener from the emotional purpose of the record. I would not say that everything has to be perfect, because perfection can really be a trap. And we all know how it is. We can spend years changing microscopic details that no listener will ever notice, while a song slowly becomes a permanent resident on their hard drive. But the music should be as intentional and professionally competitive as you can realistically make it. Marketing can be a great way to reach people, but marketing is not going to permanently rescue a song that nobody wants to hear again. You might convince somebody to click on your ad video one time if it's a great advertisement or it has an interesting story, but the music has to earn that second listen or a save or an add to their playlist. Another thing independent artists need to understand is that attention is not the same thing as having a fan base. A video receiving a lot of views can be helpful. Getting placed on a playlist can be helpful. A song generating a spike in streams can be helpful. But those things don't automatically mean that people have developed a meaningful connection with you and that they'll listen to the next song that you release. A real fan intentionally comes back. They follow you. They save your song. They listen to another release. They come out and see you at a show and they join your email list. They buy some of your merch. And most importantly, they share your music with somebody else. Your goal should not be to simply collect isolated moments of attention. Your goal should be turning some of that attention into a continuing relationship. That means showing people more than just a song that you posted on Spotify. Let them see your creative process. Tell them why you wrote it. Let your personality show. Let them see who you really are. Build a recognizable visual and emotional world around your music. Respond to people who engage. Give listeners a reason to care about the person behind the song. You should also create ways to remain connected outside of whatever social media platform that happens to be popular in the moment. Social platforms are rented land. An email list, a direct fan community, and a genuine relationship are much closer to something that you can actually control. Now, the next section I'm going to talk about is being human. But we also have to talk about artificial intelligence. And for those of you who have seen some of my other videos, you know I've already kind of touched on this piece. And we all know that generated music and other AI-generated content are becoming increasingly easier to create and more prevalent. That means the internet is going to become even more crowded with songs, images, videos, and writing that can be produced almost instantly, and you don't know if it's human or not. My belief is that this will make genuine human identity more valuable, not less. Your advantage is not producing a technically flawless imitation of something that already exists. Machines can produce endless imitations. Your advantage is your perspective. It is the story that you actually lived. It is the way your voice moves on a certain lyric, because you understand what the line means. It's your phrasing, it's your breath, it's your vibrato, your accent, your humor, your personality, relationships, your live performance, and the community that forms around a real human being. That doesn't mean we should reject every modern production tool. I mean, I'm a producer and I use technology every day. I tune vocals, I edit performances, I use software plugins to help artists create better records. But the technology should support the artist rather than erase the artist. When I tune a vocal, I don't want to flatten every moment, remove all the vibrato, eliminate every breath, and turn the singer into an expensive smoke detector. The goal is not to remove humanity. The goal is to reduce the distractions while protecting what makes the singer recognizable. And look, to be honest, I've personally received outreach asking me to participate in generative AI music programs. And I chose not to because it didn't align with the creative future I want to support or what I want Black Forest Sounds to represent. Every artist has to make their own decisions about what tools they use and what they're willing to attach to their name, voice, and the work that they do. But those decisions may matter far more in the future than they appear to matter now. As the internet becomes increasingly saturated with generic content that can easily be generated instantly, being unmistakably yourself may become one of your greatest competitive advantages. The final thing that independent artists need to understand is that building a career usually takes a lot longer than you expect. You need patience, discipline, adaptability, and a certain amount of relentlessness. One song is probably not going to change everything. One video is most likely not going to change everything. One show, one playlist placement, one email collaboration, or industry connection is not going to change everything. Or at least it doesn't for 99% of people. But all of those things, when you compound them together over time, now that is how careers are made. And every release you make is going to expand your catalog. Every show improves your ability to perform and connect with the audience. Every video helps you communicate your identity and maybe get in front of one or two more people. Every collaboration expands your relationship network. Every finished project teaches you something that the unfinished project sitting on your hard drive never will. Relentlessness doesn't mean repeating the same failed strategy forever and refusing to admit that it's not working. That's not relentlessness. That's aggressively running into the same wall over and over. Real relentlessness means remaining committed to the goal while being willing to adjust the strategy. You improve your music, you study what connects, you learn the business, you build relationships, you listen to useful feedback without allowing every outside opinion to erase who you are, and you keep moving. The artists who last may not be the ones who chase every single trend or make the most noise or are even the most talented, but I think they may be the ones who continually improve their work, build genuine relationships with listeners, understand the business surrounding the art, and remain committed long enough for all those efforts to compound. So here is the big picture. Build multiple sources of revenue. Use streaming for both discovery and income, but don't expect it to carry the entire business by itself. Understand the different ways people may encounter your music. Make your songs as intentional and professionally competitive as possible. Focus on building genuine fans instead of just chasing attention. Protect the human qualities that make your music identifiable. And stay committed long enough to give all those pieces time to grow. I know this is a high-level overview, and there's obviously a lot more we could explore. If you would like a more detailed video about streaming, discovery mode, Patreon, publishing, royalties, sync licensing, I can always do another 5 videos on AI, or simply any part of the music business, let me know in the comments. And if you're an artist with songs that you believe in, but you need a creative partner to help you turn those ideas into finished professional records, you can learn more about working with us at blackforestsounds.com. Thanks again for watching, and keep making great music.